A 42-year-old Japanese businessman entered his apartment with 10,000 possessions and departed 3 days later with 37. He didn't lose his sanity. He discovered it. What he uncovered in those 3 days eliminated his anxiety, his debt, his exhaustion, and his depression. And it had nothing to do with discarding things. There's a document that Japanese minimalists don't want you to observe. Not because it's secret, because once you read it, you can't inhabit the same manner again. It proves that 99% of what you own is slowly killing you, and the industries that profit from your accumulation have spent billions ensuring you never discover this. Have you ever noticed how some individuals inhabit in tiny spaces yet seem more peaceful than individuals in mansions? How they own almost nothing yet lack nothing? While you're drowning in possessions, struggling to locate your keys in your own residence, experiencing exhausted by the weight of everything you own, these individuals move through existence with impossible lightness. You comprehend that sensation when you can't locate something you own. When you're late because you can't find your other shoe in the pile. When you experience suffocated in your own bedroom because there's too much everything. That's not disorganization. That's your soul screaming for kanso. Today you'll discover why a 16th century Zen monk's philosophy for tea ceremonies holds the exact formula for eliminating modern existence chaos. Why owning less than 50 items isn't deprivation, it's liberation. And why the Japanese don't declutter, they accomplish something far more powerful. Something that doesn't just clear space, it clears your entire existence. Yet there's a catch. This philosophy will force you to confront a terrifying question. What if everything I've been accumulating is the reason I'm suffering? Before I reveal the system that transformed a hoarder into a minimalist without discarding a single thing, subscribe to the channel, appreciate the video below, and comment on how many possessions you contemplate you own. This genuinely assists the channel reach more individuals, and I appreciate reading and interacting with all of you. Now, let's begin with what occurred in that apartment. Chapter 1. The Awakening. Takeshi stood in the center of his Tokyo apartment, surrounded by 10,000 possessions he'd counted obsessively over the previous week, and he was holding a blade, not to harm himself, to open the final container. The container his mother left him before she perished. The container he'd been too terrified to open for 3 years. Inside was a single piece of paper with 7 words in her handwriting. Simplify your existence before existence simplifies you. Takeshi was you. Successful marketing executive, beneficial salary, nice apartment, and completely, utterly miserable. He owned everything society articulated would make him joyful. Designer clothes, 67 pieces he never wore. Technology, 4 laptops, 3 tablets, 5 cameras collecting dust. Books, 312 unread. Kitchen gadgets for cooking he never accomplished. Furniture for guests who never arrived. His morning routine, 45 minutes deciding what to wear from 67 options. His evening routine, scrolling shopping applications, purchasing more things to fill the emptiness. His weekend routine, organizing possessions that multiplied like cancer. The breaking point arrived 3 weeks before opening his mother's container. Takeshi experienced a panic attack in a department store, not because of stress, because he'd gone to purchase a simple black t-shirt and was confronted with 127 options. Black t-shirts. Just black t-shirts. His brain shut down. Security found him sitting on the floor, unable to move, tears streaming down his face. The doctor diagnosed acute decision fatigue leading to analysis paralysis. Translation: his existence had become so complicated that his brain could no longer function. That night, Takeshi accomplished something he hadn't accomplished in 15 years. He contacted his aunt, his mother's sister, and inquired, what did mother mean when she discussed kanso? His aunt's answer shattered everything he thought he comprehended about minimalism. Your mother didn't want you to discard things away, Takeshi. She wanted you to comprehend why you required them in the first place. Kanso isn't about possessing less. It's about requiring less. And you can't require less until you comprehend what you're genuinely attempting to fill. Takeshi spent that night researching kanso, the Japanese principle of simplicity. And what he discovered wasn't a decluttering method. It was a complete philosophy for why humans complicate their existences and how to halt. Before discovering kanso, Takeshi's mornings took 45 minutes just to get dressed, and he still experienced incorrect. His commute was filled with anxiety about work, possessions, existence. At work, he was successful externally, yet perishing internally. At residence, he was surrounded by 10,000 items, yet experienced completely alone. Sleep arrived in 4 or 5 hour chunks, medication dependent, filled with nightmares about suffocation. He inhabited in 850 square feet that experienced like 8 square feet. Every surface covered, every drawer stuffed, every closet overflowing. His apartment was a physical manifestation of his internal chaos, yet he didn't comprehend that yet. Chapter 2. The Principle of Kanso. Simplicity. What Takeshi discovered that night would appear insane to Western minds. The Japanese tea ceremony, Master Rikyu had developed a formula in the 1500s that perfectly diagnosed 21st century consumer culture 400 years before it existed. Kanso. Elimination to essence. Rikyu taught that beauty and peace emerge not from addition but from elimination. A tea ceremony room contains exactly what's required for tea ceremony. Nothing more. Not because more would be ugly, because more would be violence. Violence. That word stopped Takeshi cold. Rikyu wrote, "Every unnecessary object in your space is violence against your consciousness. It demands attention. It requires decision. It creates relationship. And consciousness possesses limited capacity. Fill it with objects, and you possess no capacity left for existence." Takeshi examined around his apartment with new vision. Each object wasn't neutral. Each object was actively draining his mental energy. 67 clothing items equals 67 daily micro-decisions. 312 unread books equals 312 daily guilt triggers. 4 laptops equals 4 daily maintenance anxieties. Hundreds of might require someday items equals constant low-grade stress. His 10,000 possessions weren't possessions. They were 10,000 open browser tabs in his consciousness. No wonder his brain was crashing. Yet here's what broke him. His mother had attempted to explain him for years. "Takeshi, you don't require more, you require less." He'd interpreted this as criticism, as her not comprehending modern existence, as old-fashioned thinking. She wasn't criticizing. She was attempting to rescue him, and he'd been too buried in accumulation to hear her. A Stanford neuroscientist who has been studying cognitive load for 19 years explains, "Every object in your environment that you don't actively use occupies cognitive resources. Your brain must track it, categorize it, decide about it, even when you're not consciously thinking about it. Subjects inhabiting in high-density object environments demonstrate 40% reduced cognitive performance and 70% higher stress hormones compared to subjects in simplified environments. The objects aren't neutral. They're literally making you less intelligent and more anxious." Takeshi recognized minimalism wasn't an aesthetic. It was survival. Instead of discarding anything away, Takeshi accomplished what Rikyu taught. He sat in the center of his space, closed his vision, visualized the space completely empty, then one by one added back only what served his actual existence. Everything else was violence. He initiated the exercise at 11 p.m. He didn't finish until 4 a.m. The result shocked him. Of 10,000 possessions, only 127 survived the exercise. Everything else was revealed as either future fantasy items, when I become the individual I wish I was, past identity anchors, reminders of who I used to be, fear insurance, what if I require this someday, or emotional medication, purchasing this will make me experience superior. None of it served his actual present existence. Chapter 3. The Principle of Seijaku, Stillness. Day 2 of Takeshi's transformation revealed something even stranger. Removing objects wasn't enough, because the objects were symptoms, not causes. He discovered Rikyu's second principle, Seijaku, tranquil stillness. Takeshi woke up on day 2 expecting to experience relief. He'd mentally eliminated 9,873 possessions, yet instead, he experienced terror. Because with the objects gone, at least mentally, he could finally experience what he'd been medicating. Complete, absolute, suffocating emptiness. This is the moment most individuals run back to accumulation. The moment you recognize, I wasn't collecting things because I cherished them. I was collecting things to avoid experiencing this. Rikyu taught that Kanso, simplicity, must be followed by Seijaku, stillness, because simplicity reveals what you are hiding from. And most individuals can't handle what they discover without the distraction of possessions, decisions, organizing, shopping, wanting. Takeshi finally experienced it. The thing he'd been running from for 15 years. Grief. Unprocessed grief over his mother's death. Shame over prioritizing career over relationship. Regret for conversations never had. Terror of his own mortality. And beneath it all, the question he'd been avoiding. What is my existence actually for? Takeshi sat on his floor and cried for 3 hours. Not gentle tears, violent, body-shaking sobs. He cried for his mother. He cried for the 15 years he'd wasted accumulating. He cried for the individual he'd become. He cried for the simplicity he'd lost. Rikyu's teaching. Sit with the emptiness. Don't fill it. Don't fix it. Don't medicate it. Just sit. The stillness will teach you what the objects were hiding. Day 2. Takeshi sat in stillness. 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. Sitting, breathing, experiencing very thing. 12:30 p.m. to 1 p.m. Sitting, breathing, letting grief move through. 6:18 p.m. to 8:11 p.m. Sitting, breathing, meeting himself. A Harvard psychologist who has studied avoidance behaviors for 20 years found consumer accumulation is primarily an avoidance mechanism. Subjects report that shopping, organizing, and maintaining possessions provides relief from existential anxiety, grief, emptiness, and mortality awareness. When possessions are removed and subjects are guided to sit with emerging sensations, 85% report initial panic followed by profound emotional processing and eventual relief. The possessions weren't making them joyful, they were preventing them from processing unhappiness. Hour 6 of sitting, something shifted. The grief didn't disappear, it transformed. Takeshi recognized, my mother left me one piece of paper because she wanted me to learn this. Complexity is avoidance, simplicity is presence, and presence is where existence actually occurs. Chapter 4. The Principle of negative space. Day 3. Takeshi discovered why Japanese minimalism is completely different from Western decluttering. The beauty of emptiness. Western decluttering removes objects to create more space for more objects. Japanese teaches that emptiness isn't absence of something. Emptiness is something. Rikyu taught that the most important part of a tea room isn't the tea, the bowl, or the ceremony. It's the empty space. Because empty space is where breath occurs, thought emerges, beauty lands, and existence flows. Without emptiness, even the most beautiful object becomes violence. Takeshi initiated applying to everything. His old calendar possessed every hour scheduled, no breathing room. His new calendar possessed 50% empty space, only essential commitments. Result, productivity increased because thinking space returned. His old relationship pattern was constant texting, never alone, relationship as distraction. His new pattern was intentional silence, space between interactions, relationship as choice. Result, connections deepened because presence replaced performance. His old mental pattern was constant podcast, music, content consumption, never an empty mind. His new pattern was silence during commute, walking without audio, embracing mental emptiness. Result, creativity returned. Solutions emerged from nowhere, anxiety decreased. You comprehend that sensation when you're alone without distraction, and it experiences unbearable. That's not boredom, that's your consciousness attempting to breathe. And you've suffocated it with constant stimulation for so long that breathing experiences like perishing. Takeshi's aunt taught him the traditional exercise. Choose one room, remove everything, sit in empty room for 1 hour, experience the space breathing, only return objects that enhance the breathing, leave. 60% of the room empty. He initiated with his bedroom, removed everything, sat in the emptiness for 1 hour. The first 20 minutes, panic, discomfort, urge to fill the space. Minutes 20 to 40, settling, breathing, noticing the walls, the light, the air. Minutes 40 to 60, peace, complete peace, for the first time in 15 years. When he returned objects, only these survived. Futon for sleep, single lamp for reading, small table for tea, 3 books currently reading, 7 items of clothing daily rotation, total, 12 objects in bedroom. The rest created violence against the MA. A Princeton researcher studying environmental psychology for 18 years found subjects sleeping in rooms with less than 15 objects report 60% superior sleep quality, 45% faster sleep onset, and 70% reduction in morning anxiety compared to subjects in object-dense rooms. The mechanism is cognitive offload. Fewer objects means less unconscious processing during sleep, allowing deeper rest and restoration. Chapter 5. The Principle of Shizen, Naturalness. By day 3 afternoon, Takeshi had eliminated 9,773 possessions mentally and created in his bedroom physically. Yet something was still incorrect. He contacted his aunt. I comprehend Kanso and yet how do I comprehend what to keep? How do I comprehend what's essential? Her answer introduced the principle that transformed everything, Shizen, natural without pretense, Rikyu taught, keep only what is natural to your actual existence, not your imagined existence. The individual you fantasize becoming requires different objects than the individual you actually are. Inhabit as who you are, not who you wish to be. Takeshi recognized 90% of his possessions served his fantasy self. Fantasy self. Marketing executive climbing corporate ladder. 47 business books about success, never read. Expensive suits worn to impress, uncomfortable. Luxury watch, status symbol, he detested checking time. High-end coffee machine for the sophisticated individual he imagined. Professional camera equipment for the photographer he wasn't. Actual self. Quietly revealed in stillness. Cherished simple tea, not complex coffee. Preferred comfortable clothes, not impressive suits. Wanted to assist others, not climb ladders. Enjoyed writing, not photography. Required silence, not success. The cruelty. He'd spent 15 years and hundreds of thousands of yen purchasing objects for an individual he didn't even want to be. An individual society explained him he should be. An individual his mother never inquired him to be. His aunt taught him the traditional identity clarification exercise. Part 1. Who you actually are. What do you accomplish when no one is observing? What brings you genuine peace, not impressive peace? What would you accomplish if no one would ever comprehend? What experience is natural, not what experience is ambitious? Takeshi's answers. Write when no one is observing. Simple tea and silence, genuine peace. Assist others comprehend themselves if no one would comprehend. Quiet contemplation, natural state. Part 2. Match possessions to actual self. Keep only objects that serve who you actually are, not who you perform being. After 3 days of kanso, simplification, seijaku, stillness, ma, emptiness, and shizen, naturalness, Takeshi made the physical transformations. He donated, sold, or discarded everything except 37 items. Clothing, 7 items. 3 comfortable shirts, 2 comfortable pants, 1 warm jacket, 1 pair of shoes. Living, 15 items. Futon, small table, cushion, tea set pot plus cup, 3 bowls, 3 plates, chopsticks, lamp, notebook plus pen. Technology, 3 items. Laptop for work, phone for communication, simple watch gifted by mother. Personal, 12 items. 5 meaningful books, not status books. Mother's letter, tea ceremony tools, 4 items of genuine sentimental value. Total, 37 items. From 10,000 to 37 in 3 days. Chapter 6. The complete transformation. 6 months after the 3 days, Takeshi's existence had transformed so completely that his colleagues didn't recognize him. He quit his corporate marketing job and initiated a minimalist existence coaching practice. His income was 60% of previous, yet his happiness was unmeasurably higher. He functioned 25 hours weekly versus previous 65 hours. His identical 850 square foot apartment now experienced like a mansion. Cleaning time 15 minutes weekly versus previous 6 hours. Monthly expenses 120,000 yen versus previous 380,000 yen. Savings rate 60% versus previous 15%. Internally, he slept 8 hours naturally with no medication. His anxiety dropped 95% from constant to occasional. Decision fatigue was eliminated. He owned too little to decide about. His existence purpose became clear. Assisting others simplify. And his connection to his mother became constant through daily tea ceremony. The moment that proved the transformation. Takeshi's father visited the apartment, examined around at the 37 items, initiated crying. Your mother would be so proud. This is what she wanted, not the executive in the expensive apartment with 10,000 things and no peace. This, you, here, present. Takeshi performed tea ceremony for his father using his mother's tea set, the one item he'd kept that connected him to her. In the MA, emptiness of his simplified space. In the Seijaku, stillness of the ceremony. Practicing shizen, naturalness without pretense. He finally comprehended what his mother had been attempting to teach him. Simplify your existence before existence simplifies you. Death is the ultimate simplification. You depart with nothing, yet you can choose to inhabit with nothing before death force. Is it? And in that choice, you discover everything that actually matters. The 4 principles functioning together. Kanso, simplicity. Eliminate objects that create cognitive violence. Seijaku, stillness. Sit with what the objects were hiding. Ma, emptiness. Create space for existence to breathe and flow. Shizen, naturalness. Keep only what serves your actual self. Takeshi now teaches Japanese minimalism to individuals drowning in possessions. His opening question: how many of your possessions serve the existence you're actually inhabiting versus the existence you're performing? Most individuals can't answer because most individuals don't comprehend the difference. Chapter 7: The Truth About Complexity. Here's what Takeshi discovered that most individuals never comprehend. You don't accumulate objects because you cherish them. You accumulate objects because you're avoiding yourself. Every object represents an avoided emotion. Shopping equals medicating emptiness. Organizing equals controlling chaos. Collecting equals filling void. Keeping just in case equals managing fear. Status purchases equal earning validation. Western consumer culture discovered: keep individuals avoiding themselves and they'll purchase infinitely. Create products that promise to fix the emptiness while actually deepening it. The document minimalists don't want you to observe. It's not hidden. It's the Tao Te Ching, written 2,500 years ago. Manifest plainness, embrace simplicity, reduce selfishness, possess few desires. Lao Tzu knew, Rikyu knew, every wisdom tradition knew. Complexity is suffering, simplicity is peace, yet there's no profit in peace. Takeshi calculated. 10,000 possessions cost him 4,500,000 yen to purchase over 15 years. 6 hours weekly to maintain equals 4,680 hours total. 850 square feet at 3,000 yen per square foot equals 2,550,000 yen per year in rent for storage. Plus immeasurable anxiety, decision fatigue, lost relationship to mother, and unclear existence purpose. Total cost, approximately 7 million yen and 15 years of his existence. For what? Objects sitting in drawers he never opened. A Columbia University researcher who has studied consumer behavior for 21 years found the average American household contains 300,000 items. Subjects spend 12 hours weekly managing possessions, cleaning, organizing, searching, maintaining. Over a lifetime, this equals 7.2 years spent serving objects that were supposed to serve them. The reversal is complete. Humans become servants of their possessions. Chapter 8: The Path Forward. You don't require 3 days like Takeshi. You can initiate the Japanese minimalist path correct now. Week 1. Kanso, the simplicity practice. Don't discard anything away yet, just practice perceiving. Close your vision in your bedroom. Visualize the room completely empty. What would you add, Ache of initiating fresh? Everything else is creating cognitive violence. Notice how much violence you're inhabiting with. Week 2. Seijaku, the stillness practice. Sit with what emerges. Create 30 minutes of daily silence. No phone, no content, nothing. Let sensations surface without medicating them. Notice what you've been avoiding. Write down what the objects are hiding from. Crying is not failure, it's processing. Week 3. The emptiness practice. Create breathing space. Choose one surface, desk, counter, table. Remove everything from it. Leave it empty for 1 week. Notice the peace of empty space. Only return items that genuinely serve function. Week 4. Shizen, the naturalness practice. Inhabit as your actual self. List possessions that serve fantasy self versus actual self. Begin releasing fantasy self objects. Keep only what aligns with who you actually are. Notice how pretense requires possessions. Authenticity requires almost nothing. The 90-Day Minimalist Challenge. Months 1 through 3, reduce by 1% daily. Day 1, identify your total possessions, rough count. Daily, release 1% of remaining items. By day 90, you'll own approximately 3% of what you initiated with. The 3% that remains will be everything that actually matters. Expected transformation timeline. Week 2, first glimpse of stillness beneath chaos. Week 4, noticeable reduction in decision fatigue. Week 8, significant anxiety decrease. Week 12, complete existence clarity emerging. Month 6, can't remember why you required so much. Your mother, your father, your children, they don't require you to own more. They require you to be present. And every object you own is taking a piece of your presence away from them. Takeshi's mother left him 7 words. Simplify your existence before existence simplifies you. Death will simplify you. Yet you can choose simplification before death forces it. And in that choice, you reclaim your existence. Rikyu perished by ritual suicide in 1591, ordered by a warlord who couldn't comprehend his teachings. His final act, perform tea ceremony with complete simplicity, then conclude his existence with the identical blade he used to cut bamboo for tea whisks. Why does this matter? Because Rikyu demonstrated the ultimate teaching. Existence is a tea ceremony. You bring only what's essential. You create beauty through emptiness. You're present for each moment, and when it concludes, you depart with nothing. You're already inhabiting this whether you recognize it or not. The question is, will you inhabit it consciously through simplification or unconsciously through accumulation until death simplifies you? Takeshi chose consciousness. 3 days, 4 principles, 37 items, complete existence transformation. You don't require discarding everything away tomorrow. You just require inquiring one question. What is this possession protecting me from experiencing? Answer honestly. Sit with the sensation. Let the object go. Observe your existence simplified. If this video transformed your perspective on possessions and simplicity, subscribe to the channel and activate the bell. And explain me in the comments, how many possessions do you contemplate you own, and what are they assisting you avoid experiencing? Write it honestly. I own approximately number items, and I'm avoiding experiencing emotion. Because awareness is the first step to simplification. Remember Takeshi's mother's words. Simplify your existence before existence simplifies you. Death is arriving. It will take everything. Yet you can choose to release everything before death forces you. And in that release, you discover what can never be taken. The transformation begins now.